Welcome to another episode of Financial Fridays.
I'm Amber,
I'm Alisa.
and today,
Yes.
today we're going to talk about upbringing with finances with children. So it's an interesting topic. It's one that comes up actually quite often, especially when we're talking about budgeting and the different spending styles that we have with budgeting. So we wanted to talk about it. So
Yeah. And we want to talk about it also because when we were growing up, we didn't necessarily get a lot of information about finances. And so we were kind of in the dark about how our parents manage their finances, how, money came in, who works, how many hours, all of those things that, it doesn't come up in regular conversations unless you're intentional about it. So we want to talk about how can you be intentional about it?
Right. Yeah. And I think we'll talk a little bit of our own backgrounds as well too, but I didn't know how to budget until I had kids. So wanting to teach them, giving them the gift of knowing how to budget so that way they're not as stressed as I was when trying to figure out everything. Once I had a child, it was a lot different. So hopefully giving this next generation with everything is, really quick, easy touch, one click of a button type
Buy
of thing.
now.
Buy now, right now, and hopefully slowing them down a little bit to think before they just, purchase anything. Impulse shopping, all of that.
Yeah, and my big disclaimer is I don't have kids, so I cannot really talk about how do you teach your kids, but I can talk about, my experience as a kid, right? How did I grow up, and what do I see other people doing, and, Amber's a great example of budgeting with kids.
Oh, God.
I'm a great example of what to say to people, but not necessarily what to do because I don't do it.
She does keep me accountable with my kids, so she does weigh in if I say I'm going to do something. So she has seen me, my kid throughout the year. We've known each other for a very long time, so she's known my kids and my oldest for a long time.
Yes.
So she hears everything that I talk about and gives me advice. So don't let her fool you. My kid is also her kid as well. She's auntie.
Yep. So, when Amber mentioned, her kids already. So, one of the things that we talk about is how do you can't teach someone how to budget if they don't have any money, right? You can show them what you do. You can kind of include them in the process. And I always talk about, one easy way, if you want to start it that way, if you're unsure on how to teach the kid how to, manage their finances, is teach them what you do with your money, right? And one easy way to do that is with a calendar.
Yes.
Right. If you have a calendar, you can have it on the kitchen fridge or wall or whatever, and then you write down, all the bills or the expenses. How much you spent at the grocery store, how much you spent on gas, the basic things, maybe not everything, but you can start there, and start introducing kids to money if you don't already do like allowance or anything like that. But I feel like that's always an easy way to start if you haven't done so already. But I feel like that's always a good visual of how does it look on the calendar, right? You don't need to put your income necessarily there. If you want to, you can, but especially like put all the expenses that you have. I think that's a huge one because it's like the first in kind of an introduction to money, right? How does it work? How much do we spend a month? And then what's available at the end of the month for all, what your kids ask for.
Yeah, and it makes them aware of, the reality, whereas, where I grew up, I wasn't aware of the reality of like when things are due and how much that they're due and everything. So, and I guess where to start when we say to give them something, you said allowance. Allowance is a great way. It's a great incentive for kids to start out. I do $5 a week for my child, and I tell her every year for her birthday, if she saves any, then I'll match it so that way she can spend it on something. So it also gives them incentive on saving and not just buying something. I also am one of those types of people, which I have talked about before, that out of sight, out of mind. So my allowance is like direct deposit kind of thing. And I'll talk a little bit later on what I use for that. But I grew up saying that I was going to get allowance and never got it. And I think it was because, there's so much going on as an adult, right? That allowance and paying your kid is not really one of the top priorities of everything. So my daughter gets it automatically on a card through my direct deposit. So that way she gets it every week. She usually spends it every week. So we're still working on the savings part. But I tell her also the ground rules of what she can and cannot spend on. And I think that is very important when it comes to kids of, the adults are supposed to take care of the kids, right? So food, shelter, obviously all of that should be, not a part of what they want to buy. It should be their wants. It should be their toys, if they want a snack or whatever. So establishing those ground rules of when you also give them the money is very crucial. And then there's the topic of, what age do I start? And honestly, it is a maturity thing of depending, because each child is different. Each child is going to be different on how they manage their money and when you think that they're ready. Typically, like when they know how to add very well, so if they know not like 2 + 2, but like more bigger numbers, maybe like second grade-ish, I think that's when they start. That might be a great time to, actually get them involved in learning those. You could also start little though, like, my babies, they got tooth fairy money, and with that, we establish rules of what you can, although tooth fairy money back then is different than nowadays, because my mom just asked me to give $5 to my kid who just lost her first tooth. And $5, I got a quarter. I had to wait 4 tooths to buy something,
Inflation.
I guess, like, oh, wow. But just establishing those rules of what they can and cannot buy with that money, even if it is birthday money or anything like that. So, yeah.
I had an idea come to mind when you were talking, and then I totally lost it. But you mentioned like the when are they ready? And I saw a presentation by one of our partners. They did a presentation on how do you start kids with money. And one of the things that she was talking about was when they're little, do it more of a game, right? Like you do games, you add chocolate,
Right.
subtract tomatoes. I don't know. Like you just do it as a game, right? To get them started, not necessarily with money, but with things, right?
Yes.
Like just so that they learn that there's like some exchange with money. And then once they're, once they know how to add, then you start them with money, right? Like first, second grade, and then you start talking about money, what it means, right? And the older they get, then you kind of add a layer of like difficulty to it.
Right.
And you open a bank account for them whenever you want, but preferably when they can be part of the process too, right? If they're like in the second grade, sure, take them to the bank, right? Show them what the bank does. And I feel like a lot of the banks have resources for when you're there with your kid, right? Like they'll have like coloring things that explain what the bank does. It's just I think a matter of like starting them as soon as you can with simple things, and then increasing kind of their involvement and the difficulty in money and budgeting and all that.
Yeah, definitely. I know one thing as well too, when you go to the store, and you're trying to teach them like what they can and cannot afford, I noticed that some people actually don't bring their kids to the store. And so you actually have to bring them you have to bring them in to show them, that's one credit that I will give to my dad when we went grocery shopping. He would, show the differences between the two and say, okay, which one is cheaper? Which one can we actually get?
Right.
Like, do we need a name brand, other than Frank's hot sauce? Because that was one thing that we can't. We can't go without.
You can't substitute.
It doesn't matter if it's $4 a bottle. But apparently that's the rule. But just showing them like the difference. Like, okay, yes, we're going to get, saltine crackers, but do you see like there's name brand ones and then there's these ones? Do we need that much, even though it's the same size? So that's something that I did give him credit for, because I teach that to my kids of like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
they'll automatically go towards this, but then they're like, oh, wait, how much is that?
Yeah.
And I'm constantly telling my oldest, how much is that? How much is that?
Yeah.
Did you look at it?
Yeah. Yeah. And what's the sale, right? Because sometimes even we are fooled with
Yeah.
the sale. Oh, it was $4.99 and now it's, $4.59. And it's like, okay, that's not that big of a sale. Like if we're comparing products, right? But I feel like those usually get us, right? Like, oh, 2 for 1, but they're usually only $2.99, but 2 for 1, like it's just, you have to kind of do math.
Yeah.
And yeah, if we are, if we can get carried away with that kind of stuff, they will as well.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah.
teaching them to actually look at the sticker and like seeing what is the actual savings, right? And then the other thing that we can teach, grocery shopping with kids, that's really good, because I feel like, how do you plan your meals, right? Like, how do you know what you're buying? How do you know what you're gonna make for the rest of the week? And that's very important, because that is a way that we can save money without having to, go to the store. I've talked about this, in many other settings. Is like, how much money can we save if we cook at home?
Right.
And it might be a little boring, but sometimes it's like, how do you choose the things that you're gonna cook?
Yeah.
And
you
then
can make it fun too. Sorry.
yeah, and you can
make
make
it
it fun. Mm-hmm.
My Melody loves to cook with me.
Yeah.
She loves, and now my youngest is like, what can I do to help? So you
Yeah,
can always
that's
make
awesome.
it fun. Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing to teach is goal setting. How do you set goals, right? So you talked about that's what came to my mind, and then I forgot.
There you go. Ta-da.
It's like the goal setting when if you save, if you save up to $50 this year, I don't know, you name your months, right? But if you save however many dollars this month or this year, I will match it, for your birthday.
Yep.
If you set that, that's already a goal that, you're kind of setting that goal for them, but you can also help them like set what goals they want. And I feel like that's something that I never really learned until I started taking these like bunch of classes, right? Like,
Okay.
how do you set goals? What do you want to do this year? Or what do you want to do for your birthday or whatever, holidays or whatever, you name it.
Yeah.
Or what's your plan for this coming summer, right? And I feel like that, to me, that helps me kind of look forward to something when, I know winter is coming, and,
Right.
and I'm like, I'm not looking forward to that. But I am looking forward to next spring, right? I'm looking forward to next summer. What is my plan? And then do I need to save money for that? You kind of start teaching them different ways.
Yeah. So you mentioned holidays, and I do remember when I first started with my oldest, I would give her a $20 bill to go to the dollar store so that way she can buy Christmas presents for everybody. And with that $20 bill, I had to show her that technically you can only get 18 things. Well, now you can't get that because it's $1.25, but technically you can only get 18 things. So for 18 people, or if you want to only choose for 6 people, this many things, right?
Yeah.
And that helped her learn of like the value of certain things. And that's a great way to start, especially with the holidays coming up, or if you want to give them money to, get something for somebody's birthday, that's a short term.
And you teach them taxes at the same time.
I sure did, and she did not like that. She was like, "What are you talking about? I got $20." No.
Yeah.
But and that's also the thing though too. We can't bail them out either.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. You have to teach them not only just about the taxes, but like if they overspend,
Yeah.
or they try to overspend, obviously they can't by the time they get to the counter. I think a lot of parents will bail them out, be like, okay, I got that.
Yeah.
But we have to teach them and discipline them to be like, this is your budget that you had, which was $20.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting you any cents over that. So you're going to have to choose to put something back, or,
Yep.
something was more expensive. So you're going to have to try to find something else. And I think parents, because I mean, I'm that type of person as well too. Like, I want to give them something that I never got,
Yeah.
you know, so then I feel guilty. But we got to teach them now, otherwise they won't learn when they get older, and then they'll overspend on their credit cards.
Yeah. And then they'll hold it against you anyway. So
That too. Yeah. There you go. It
be
doesn't
like, my
matter.
mom never taught me.
You can't win. You can't win. She
Yep.
never let me buy this. Well,
Yeah, and we have some piggy banks here, but you know, these are super basic. But you know, you can get creative on like what works for you, right? I've seen those that are like clear plastic, and it says like a little message of like travel budget or you know whatever, and it's just like a circle, and you put the money in, and you kind of see it growing, right? If you put coins or bills or whatever. So that's you know that's a kind of an old school way of doing it, but I think it's effective if your child is a visual person, right?
Yeah.
Like if you'd like to see something grow, if you like to see something, you know, how is it piling up, you know? Because I see some, I go to people's houses and I look at what they have, right? You always do. And when they have those, I'm like, ooh, like you have a little jar with money. Like that's so cool. Because it's an old school way of doing it, but I think it can be really effective. And why not use it, right? Like it's not expensive to get one of those. So that's always something cool to do. But you know, if you want to be more on the technology side, you mentioned some apps. I don't know if you know specifically what apps and what do you use. But
Greenlight app is what I use because it automatically connects to my debit card. That it will take it out of there, you know, once a month, and it'll automatically directly deposit to her, and she has a debit card as well. The debit card has her face on it as kind of like an ID sort of thing. So if they don't have an actual ID from school, which she didn't until this year, it has her picture on it, and when she could tap it, slide it, you know, whatever, just like a regular debit card. So it teaches her not only like to budget, because she only gets $5 a week, right?
yeah,
But it also teaches her responsibility of holding that debit card as well too.
Yeah.
Because I think that's also the big thing. Like, I'm gonna lose it, you know, it's gonna get trashed, whatever. She's had the same debit card for the past 2 years.
oh nice.
And it's taught her how to, you know, keep something. Although she's lost her wallet, but she's found it. She hasn't lost the actual debit card itself. So it's teaching her responsibility, and it's also, for me, out of sight, out of mind. I don't have to literally think about it every week to send to her. And then also, though, if we have, you know, a conflict or something, you know, there are privileges to having an allowance. So if, you know, your grades are not where it's supposed to be, then we're not getting allowance this week. Or, you know, chores around the house. You could do whatever you want to do for that. But, but we also have the goals of, part of it in the app is partial of that $5 actually goes into a savings.
Okay.
So like $1.20 will go into savings automatically, and then she only gets to spend the rest of it.
Yeah.
So she can choose to save the spending part, or she can just save the other savings part.
So she does have an app that lets her see that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
that's a little bit more advanced for a little bit older kids, you know. But we started out with getting, you know, money here and there. She has her daycare person that gives her money if she does like massages or cleans up something around the house, and she knows that if she saves it by the time of her birthday, then I'll match it, and she can get whatever she wants for her birthday. So so it's there's also I guess Cash App also has a kid thing as well too. So kind of the same concept. If you have a Cash App, they have a debit card as well too, and you can do it for kids as well. So it's the same concept. And Choice One also has a savings with a game component to it as well. So they have an app that you can download that puts the savings on there, but also you can do games on there with it as well too. So those are just a couple of apps that I'm aware of.
Yeah, and I feel like some a lot of banks will have something. They might not, you know, you might not know about it if you don't go to the bank. necessarily.
That's true.
And also, a lot of us don't really go to the bank
Not
on a
like
regular.
that.
Like I don't go to the bank
No.
unless I need cash, which is very rare.
Yes.
But a lot of banks, I feel like you walk into the agency and then they will have something for kids, right? And there are some organizations as well that have like classes specifically for kids and doing finances. Young Money Finance is one of them, and it's just they teach kids how do you budget, how do you manage your finances, and they teach it in a way that is applicable to what the kid needs, right? And depending on the ages and depending on how many classes they've taken before, that's one organization that I can think of that is doing something more related to kids. But also sometimes the schools will have some sort of programming specific for that. If it's outside of the school schedule, take advantage of it. Like if you have like a parent night where they have something for finance related, like go to it, because I feel like a lot of times we don't go to the things that are educational for us, and then how do we expect our kids to follow us if we're not doing the things.
Yep.
So there's
Agreed.
just some ideas, right, of what can be done.
Yeah.
And then I feel like everyone is different, so you can't expect one thing to work with one kid that's going to work with the other one. Like
Yes.
that might not be the same thing.
Yes.
But also, when you talk to people about it, you can always say, this is what I do, this is what works for me. But you can't expect someone to follow exactly like you say, right? Like we're all different. We all have our...
I have two kids that are two totally opposites. So I have a feeling the youngest one, who is not quite there yet of grasping the concept of everything. She's very excited about money, but they both have different, like I know my oldest, she is very all over the place, right? So she is fixated on one thing and then she changes it and then she changes it, then she changes it, right? So her goals, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not that type of person. Once I have a goal, I stick to it and I do not change it until I achieve that goal. She changes it. But yeah, it doesn't, it's not, my methods are not going to work for her. So I'm trying to figure out for her what works.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Yeah. So
Yeah. I do want to mention before we end everything, we are sitting right in front of our new mural. We got this commissioned to an artist named Hugo Claudin. He's in the community, and he does a lot of mural artwork, and so we're sitting right in front of it. Yeah, we wanted something fun for our wall, so this is something that we have been showing off lately.
and thank you to Hugo.
Yeah, I
Thank
know
you very much.
he's amazing. So, so yeah, that's one thing that I wanted to mention. So we'll probably do all of our classes from here going forward. I don't know. We'll try to figure that out. And also mention that we have a bunch of classes.
We do. Yes.
All kinds of classes about all kinds of finance stuff. So we have classes on budgeting, savings, credit, how do you buy a house, not the official how to buy a house class, but just kind of an introductory course. Classes on identity theft and just a bunch of classes. Some coming up soon as well.
Yes.
So
Your Life in a Binder is going to be coming up here soon, and that stemmed from us being in foreclosure quite a bit and seeing that a lot of people that come to us don't have whoever that they inherited the house from did not have papers lined up and together, and therefore not only is the client grieving, but they are also trying to get everything into their name, trying to figure out what goes where. So we came up with a class of putting everything together before something happens, so that way your loved ones can be okay if anything were to happen. So
yeah, at any point in your life.
Yep.
So
yeah.
So we have that one is coming up. But yeah, like I said, we always have something going on. December is kind of our off month. We only have a couple classes, but we start the year off soon, and it's going to be a bunch of classes that are all interesting, in my opinion.
And yeah, both of our opinions, but we make it fun.
Yeah.
I promise you all, we make it fun. So
Yeah. So thank you for watching, and yeah, we'll be.
oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.